Welcome back. As we said at the end of chapter 1, we'll focus on building on the concept with a framework around how we're going to go about executing on our development program. But before we do that, let's start with a recap first. The problem definition, and then breaking down the concept. Right, let's get going. We start by building our implementation framework based on the components we defined while breaking down the concept in chapter 1. So, in component 1, we'd like to upskill some youths through a training program. What we need to make that happen are training facilities, materials, as well as a well-defined curriculum, and of course, appropriately skilled professionals to teach it. Who do we need to involve? Well, we'll need a range of stakeholders, from people who will help us identify the right youth to recruit, to institutions that will help us understand where the gap is in terms of absorbing students into the economy once they are done with their studies. And of course, the people who share the same agenda and mandate as we do, who would be willing to help us out with some money to make this happen. Right, so what would we like to achieve in component 2? Well, we'd like to revive that which is no longer alive, but could find relevance in the new normal. We see this kind of symbiosis important, a great way to go further by going together. We're going to need to go through the process of defining our business plans using those key considerations we defined while breaking down the concept. We'll need to actually do our research, use our data to select the best option for our context, and then define that option in great detail, either as a business plan or an operations strategy. That go-together principle again, which is critical for a program of this size, even if the first step is a smaller scale pilot. Right, so what would we like to achieve with component 3? Well, we could go a number of ways here. We could say this component is nothing more than an input and then approach it from a purely commercial perspective. That is, getting the right partner to provide us the best textiles at the best price. As you can see, we've gone a different way here. We've decided that we want this component to support our underlying mission, as such making it far more significant to the program. You ask why? Well, we figured we need to find as many ways as possible to reach that ambitious 200 a year number we've been talking about, as it enhances the value creation of our program. And we thought component 3 could greatly support that objective. Nothing wrong with a bit of vertical integration there and there, especially when the objective is so significant. Component 4 is at the core for our entire program. It's the whole reason the program exists. We're going to have to find some way to make sure these key inputs are in place in order for this component to reach its mandate. Finally, we deal with component 5. By now, you would already have figured out that the key takeaway from the framework is that middle role, because that's the end game of the implementation process. That's what needs to be in place by the time we say we've set up the program and we're now ready to get going. The first and last roles are simple enough. This is what we're trying to achieve, and these are the kinds of friends we need to help us achieve them. It's really that simple. The bulk of the work is on that middle role, because we'll need a lot of it to be thought out and in place in order to make the kind of friends we hope to make to help us complete the rest of it. Now, let's get into building our model, which will flow naturally from our framework. We'll let you go through this one on your own. Make some notes and form some ideas of your own, which might be better than ours. Our objective is to get you thinking towards actually making something happen. Now, we'd like to deal with some considerations that may have come up as questions to you as you are going through the content. We've defined our sample of youths as a mix of formally trained graduates and talented youths who unfortunately didn't get the opportunity to further their schooling, but have found ways to demonstrate their talent for fashion or retail. We've considered that a lot of these youths might come from circumstances that require some kind of financial support to be able to be fully engaged in the program. So we've defined a stipend for them while on the program. We've applied our minds a bit around the exit strategy for those youths that are not suitable to further engage in the program post the training component. Funding the ventures is a burning issue that might be complicated, so we've decided we are going to pursue two options: facilitate direct funding of ventures from angel investors, venture capital entities, or state funding institutions, or source funding for the program as a whole, and then extend funding to the ventures in the form of short-term loans. Other considerations relate to mentorship and support, the distribution strategy, as well as textile sourcing partnerships. Right, at this point we now have our framework and model that we set up to develop in this chapter. Now, we move on to chapter 3, where we will define our scope, governance model, as well as the high-level implementation plan.